The condition is really crazy condition.
I mean, that shouldn't give away the whole secret to professional windsurfing.
Matteo Iachino giving Antoine Albo a run for his money. Here we go. What a finish.
The guy is kind of talking bullshit.
The team's just got to work a little harder.
Welcome to the Windsurfing podcast, back again for episode 53. And this week we're speaking to a recently retired pro rider. He's now become a pilot and also a PWA judge. We're going to talk to him about how close he was to winning the elusive world title. Going to talk to him about growing up, the Maui Ocean Academy and how that all came about. Going to talk to him about sponsorship deals with Pryde and how Matt Pritchard gave him a second chance. We're going to talk to him about family priorities and where that takes you. We're going to talk to him about, what it's like to be a pro in this day and age and how hard it is. Who is it? Well, it is, of course, Alex Mussolini.
Alex Mussolini, how you doing?
Good. Thank you very much for inviting me to the podcast.
Yeah, no worries. I actually should have done it ages ago, but well, whatever. It is. I'm happy to have you now. Actually, it's maybe a better time.
I think so. I think I've never been really this kind of guys that are in the main focus, like Ricky or Thomas, with this crazy action. I think my career has been, let's say, more of a, I don't know. I've been quiet,
Yeah, and COVID also doesn't really, a lot of guys kind of, chose different career paths or whatever through COVID. And it's not like you made an announcement that, that you're going to retire from competition or you're going to... So what's the status on that? I know you're starting to be a pilot right now. That's kind of your main thing, right? But you're still sailing.
I'm a pilot since June of 2021. I finished my studies, and at the moment I send my curriculum to almost every airline possible, it doesn't matter if it's from France, from Poland, from Indonesia, I don't care, I just want to fly, It has been my dream to be a commercial pilot since I was a private pilot when I was a kid, and I guess windsurfing took me through another road, and I took the decision before COVID, and I finished during COVID, so it's probably the worst time, you as a windsurfer, restrictions and all this, and now it looks like finally we are leaving this COVID thing, and airlines are recruiting again, so I'm just in the waiting list, and let's see what happens.
Yeah. You're still sponsored and still, probably would classify yourself as a professional windsurfer still. So it's not like you had to leave one thing, cut it off and then, pay for your gear as you were, studying. It's a cool transition, no, I think.
Yeah, I started the studies when I was in RRD. And it was a little bit of a hard decision because I had to leave Tenerife, and Tenerife was, how Tenerife is. It's always windy. You're always able to train. And I had to move to the mainland to study. And at the beginning in RD, I don't think it was such a nice news that I was moving. And I didn't move to Tarifa, I moved to Madrid, the center of Spain, But even then, I was able to make podiums and be in the top 5, the top 10, while I was studying, and after so many years without studying, it was super hard to become a pilot. It's like, like where I'm sitting right now, it was like in between 6 to 8 hours per day for almost 2 years. It was incredible, man. It was like, so, but I made it, somehow. And I'm really happy about that. I have a plan B, and it was my dream to become a pilot, and I'm just waiting for the job now.
Yeah. Congratulations on that for sure. Are in order.
And then to go back to the sponsorship, then RD, I think they were looking for fresh blood. I understand this. I think I quit when I was 35 or 34 from RD. And then I got the chance to go back to another Italian brand, which was Challenger Sales and AV Boards. And then COVID hit, and they didn't have so much money because, I understand that with no competitions, there is no money, And I kind of struggled a little bit with that. I struggled with traveling, and I concentrated almost 100% to my studies. And they understood the situation. I lowered my budget to minimums. Like, really, I never had such a low budget. I understood that the situation was what it was, and but I am happy, and how do you say? I'm thankful to Challenger for what they, and Apple Boards for what they did for me, for sure.
Yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, me and Profit, we were like, shit, we didn't interview Musso when we saw you on the live stream of the PWA Cape Verde in the judges booth. And that's kind of interesting because I'm on the committee that did the wildcards, and there was actually a lot of guys that maybe stopped competing even 5-10 years ago that wanted to get in. And you would actually get in just by ranking, just by your 2019 ranking. But you decided not to compete in kind of a dreamy event. Okay, it ended up being small and whatever, and go to the dark side, let's say.
Yeah. It was basically the decision of retiring. I had a lot of chats with Challenger and AV Boards about 2022. I told them that my situation was that as soon as I get a job as a pilot, I would just quit everything just to do that, because I like I told you, for 4 years was so much studies and so much sacrifice, not just for me, but for my family and everything. So, and then I said, okay, you know what? I will sacrifice 2022 of not getting a pilot job, but I need a real budget now. I understood that without events, I had a really low budget, but with events, like Cape Verde, it's really expensive, And I guess their situation is what it is. Like, they're a small brand, they don't have so much budget, because you are in Challenger, and they couldn't support me with what I needed, to really travel, train, and live from windsurfing. So Aurelio also understood that, okay, if there's no support from either side, and I'm not going to go back to Duotone, Fanatic, JB Neil Pryde, it's like, I think it's time for the young guys to come and, kick some ass. And there is some really good guys out there. And my level is good, but I will never be world champion anymore. I will not be top 3 anymore. So really it was a hard decision because you have to quit something that you have been doing for almost 20 years. But it's the reality, It's like... you have to face reality with no budget, and almost I consider myself not having the level that I used to have. I'm a realistic person, and I don't know. And then I went in France, I asked Rich Page. Well, I offered myself, and I said, you know what, Rich, I think next year I won't be getting the budget I need to compete. So if you guys need fresh blood also in the judges tower, I'm up for it. And after 18 years, I think I know what we're looking for up there.
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask you, because let's say that throughout your career, you've been sometimes a little harsh on the judges.
Yeah.
So how was it crossing to the other side?
They were laughing. They were laughing at me like, you have been laughing like really hard at the judges all the time, and now you're here. And it's true that when we were judging, I had different point of view, you know, from them. Like, I can see what they were looking for, but, you know, I just pressed the numbers that what I saw, it was what it was, you know, and I gave my point of view in the way that, for example, in Cape Verde, I like to see more radical areas, because that was kind of my style, you know, like looking for backdooring the thing. And the judges were looking a little bit more for like turns. So, but at the end, I have to say something, and it's like, you lose when you don't perform. They're not against you. They're not. I have to say that for many years I thought it was like a mafia kind of, you know, and then now being up there it's fair, and the guys that are doing did a really good job. It's true that we are humans, you know, and sometimes you just see something that you want to see, then I don't know. It's difficult. It's not so easy. Yeah.
It was fucking funny. Sorry, but it was so funny seeing you there after, like, I mean, I didn't see you explode on the judges, but you know, there's stories like, giving shit to, you know, because you thought, I don't know, you know, that's something. It's like you say, it's a little bit about the scoring criteria, no?
It's just the scoring criteria. I mean, you know, like it was hard to judge, for example, Brausinho. For me, it was really hard to judge him, because I consider Brausinho the ultimate wave rider, you know, and, you know, you always want to see him doing what he's doing in his videos. But I also know that you're in competition and you're not able to perform like in the videos, you know. So you're always expecting, come on, you're going to make an air tackle, you're going to do this. And sometimes you have to hold back because you know that he can do it, you know. This was a little bit difficult to and also it was hard to judge Thomas, because, you know, we are friends forever. And who else was hard to judge? I don't know. It was hard to judge a lot of guys, especially the best of the best. It was Ricky was sailing super good, I have to say. It was one of the ones that impressed me the most. He finished 9th, but that guy could have won the event, if I tell you the truth.
Yeah.
And Antoine Titur was sailing super good also.
Yeah, one more time. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But the experience was not so easy. And now if I go to Pozo, it's going to be hard, because 4 guys jumping and riding, and the spot is really big, you know. And in Cape Verde it was easy, kind of, because the guys were just riding. Okay, he's done. Okay, you score. Then the guy is riding, you score. But I think in Pozo it's like jumping, riding. It's going to be hard. And in Pozo I look for things that maybe the judges have not been looking for in the past year. So especially wave riding, I want to see, you know, guys hitting the pocket and, you know, not this super long turn. And I think Tenerife is going to be hard to judge, because, you know, I've been living there for 10 years and I know what the wave can offer to you, and I want to see the guys performing at their best, for sure.
Yeah. So tell us some behind the scenes. Did anybody come up to give you shit after a heat?
Just Ricardo came and he was complaining about one wave from Brausinho. He told me that we underscored a goiter, and but not. I told him, you know, check the replay. It's not like I don't like Brausinho. It's the opposite. I love Brausinho, but sometimes you have to be a little bit hard because we know that Brazil can sometimes, I think he's super good, and I don't know. And that's it. But yeah, I think that being a judge is the end of a good career. I think I had a good career. I'm not really, how do you say, not being world champion is not something that I will regret. Maybe say, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Let's go back all the way, like before your career actually even started. Where do you consider you really, because all we know, like as the public, or maybe some people even don't know, is that you went to Maui Ocean Academy, which is basically a school, a high school or whatever, or was, I don't know if it even exists still, for windsurfers and surfers and whatever, that you study a little bit in the morning and then you go to Hokipa. And the first thing I remember is seeing you already in Pryde JP videos, like, I don't know, 2002, maybe 2000.
Yeah, 2003,
3, yeah. Like, already doing massive one-footed back loops and hitting the Lepa, Hokipa or whatever. So filling a blank from like, let's say, you growing up in Barcelona, which is okay. Yeah, there is some conditions or whatever, but it ain't Maui.
Yeah, like in Poland, man.
Yeah, exactly. To 2002 and those Pryde videos. Tell me.
Yeah, okay. I always tell the young guys, the old guy stories, and yeah, I went to Maui Ocean Academy in 1999. So it's like last century, last millennium, and a long time ago. And it was because I started in Barcelona. My dad was windsurfing. And when I was like 7, 8, I started windsurfing. And when I was 9, I was jumping. When I was 12, I was like doing forwards, And my dad saw that, well, maybe he has some potential, And then he got in touch with a friend of his that was living in Fuerteventura and told him there is a school, a boarding school on Maui, and you study in the mornings and you go windsurf in the afternoons. And some things happened in my life, and so my dad decided to take me there. So in August of 99, I went to Maui, and we got there. I met the Cyber family. Levi Cyber was in this moment was like, I could only see him in the magazines, and I met him and nothing. My dad just said, okay, son, you're staying here. I'm leaving. I'm going back to Barcelona because life continues, And I stayed there for 2.5 years.
So you were like 14, 15?
14. I was 14 at this moment, and it was incredible, man. Magic, it was incredible. It's like, you come from Poland, you come from real life, like, or how do you say, cold winters and hot summers, no wind, no waves, and suddenly I'm in Maui with the Cyber family, studying from 8 to 1. It was at 1. We stopped the studies, we ate lunch, and then you got all your gear because we took all the gear out just so the van is not like full of gear and stuff. You put your stuff in the van, they drive you down to Hokipa, and from 2 to 6, you've been on Maui. It's like more or less that's the time of wind.
Yeah.
You just windsurfing Hokipa. It's like... It doesn't get better than that, And this for 2.5 years, and my level went like incredible.
Were you surprised or did you expect it? Like, because there was how many kids anyway? How many kids like in one class?
There was it was the German gang. There were like 6 or 7 German guys, and they were like in small groups. And then we were the international guys, like from France, Spain, Italy, and United States. And it was like a big house, Maui style, on the bottom, and then on another one on the top. On the top, there were the Germans, and on the bottom were the international guys. Yeah. So at the end, there was a lot of guys, there. I met Flo Young there. I met Robbie. Robbie Swift was coming to the Ocean Academy, but he didn't stay for long. He stayed for like 2 or 3 months. And the thing was that when I got to Maui, my level was like speed loops, back loop attempts, and a little bit of riding. I never really saw real waves, in my life. And in 3 months, back loops, push loops, areas of the lip in Hokipa, not 360s, but almost. And in 3 months, then after another 3 months, it was like my level was like super good. And then, what's his name? Guy Hope from North Tales started to support me. Then Simmer Style also helped me. So I got little sponsorship just so my dad didn't have to pay for the gear, Yeah. But it was incredible matching. It was incredible. This. If I had to go back in life, in one moment, it would be probably living on Maui. It was the first time I kissed a girl. It was the first time, you do all these things. First aerial.
Yeah.
And at this moment, I was really passionate about windsurfing. I wanted to go to Jaws and do all these crazy things that now I think, wow, you're crazy. But I don't know. I remember this time of life was amazing. First parties and I don't know.
But did you see like, so you had kids your age, let's say, you studied together, you did everything together and whatever. Did you see you were progressing faster than the kids?
Yes, much faster because there was another kid called Kane. He was from Florida and we were at the same level. At the end, for some reason, he didn't continue with the career, but my level was like, you're in Maui, Hokipa, you're in the channel and you look and you see Jason Pollock, oh, wow, tweet aerial. Then you see Josh Angulo, huge 100 aerial. And, as a kid, it's like, if you have the chance to windsurf a lot, and especially in the best conditions possible, like Magic, I was sailing like 7 out of 7. Maui, when there was no wind on the North Shore, we went to Kihei. When there was no wind in Kihei or it was too massive in Hokipa, we went to Kanaha. And I was the only kid, really, that I was sailing every single day. Other kids were more like on vacation there, But me, I was like, I wanted to be a professional windsurfer no matter what, I sailed a lot of hours. I have to say. I don't know if it's called talent. I don't know what it was, but I think my drive to become a professional windsurfer was there. And then the problem was when I left Maui. I was almost 17. And Kai Hope told me, Alex, I'm sorry, but I cannot support you anymore if you go back to Europe, It's just a matter of, how you say, there was no more windsurfing for me in reality because I went back to Barcelona. And the guys in North Spain, they didn't want to support me. And I started with this career for airplanes, aviation, My dad told me, you know what, if you're not going to windsurf anymore, you need to study something. So I became a private pilot. I finished my private pilot license when I was 17, just after I got back from Maui. And then I was going to move to Florida for becoming a commercial pilot.
No way.
And I emailed the university from there. It was from where they raced the NASCAR in Florida. In Tampa or I don't know, some university there. I got my papers, everything. I filled out for the visa, for absolutely everything. And then my dad was like, you know what, wait a minute. I got in touch with Pryde Spain, and they want to take you to the Spanish competition there. And I said, okay. I go, and, you know, I no expectations, you know. I went there, I won the Spanish championship. And then the Pryde distributor from Spain told me, you know what? I told Martin Branda that I have a really good guy here, and he wants to see you in Maui in the photo shoot. And that was the last time my dad paid the plane ticket to Maui. I went to Maui for the photo shoot, and I met Martin. And you know, Martin, he was like military, you know, kind of style. And I always tell the story, you know. And when I met him, he told me, okay, we're going to go to Baby Beach for the photo shoot. And Josh Stone was there. It was like a dream, you know. And he told me, okay, I give you 30 minutes for you to show me what you got, you know. And we went to Baby Beach, I did my things like whatever. At that time, 1 foot back blue, I don't know, whatever. Then I got back, he was like, okay, yeah, but now we're going to go to Keep and show me what you got, no? Boom, boom, boom.
Basically heats basically,
yeah,
no?
like a heat. Basically it was like a heat. Then I went back, he didn't express his feelings too much, you know, Martin. And then I go back to Spain, and the Spanish distributor told me, okay, you have your international contract on the table. And that's how it was. Yeah. Because there was no Instagram, no Facebook like now. And back in the days, no one gave you any gear or anything if you were not good, you know. You had to go through a process, you know.
I think even like this, nobody gave you nothing unless you were in contests or whatever, no? Like you...
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing that Martin wanted to, you know, because back in the days, this kid is good, you know, but you have to see someone live to understand how good he is, you know, because nowadays, you know, videos, you can just make a turn and cut it, make a 360 and cut it, you know. And he wanted to see really what I was made of, you know. And I mean, time changes, but I thought he was fair with me, you know. And I always say that without Martin Brandner, I would not be who I was or who I am now, you know. Yeah, he was taking shit seriously, you know, Martin, and windsurfing was, how do you say, it was something serious for him, you know, to sponsor a guy and give money to a kid, you know, for him to compete, but not only compete, but to train, you know.
Yeah, I think he's never going to admit it, but I think he liked it in a way, like he brought Ricardo out of Venezuela. He brought Diony, you know, then you like, you know, I think he had like a passion for actually, you know, bringing kids out from nowhere, and then kind of, because then he could mold then he could kind of mold you into what he planned for you, right? It was like tabula rasa, you know, like a clean slate.
If without him, I would have never became what I became, you know. And actually, when I left Pryde JP, it wasn't because of him, and actually, it was a really good thing for me, because I started to become less professional, you know, in a way that I was windsurfing really good. I was one of the best. I was making already podiums when I was 18 or 19, top fives and all this stuff. But I was not, I started to lose the road, you know. And when Pryde JP told me, okay, it's over, I was like, oh shit, you know. Like, this is for real, you know. And this was in 2000 and at the end of 2007 or 2008. And actually, I wanted to quit because I started to have bad results. And I was like, you know what, maybe, yeah, I'm good, but maybe I'm not made for competing, or I don't know. And then when I thought I was quitting, I checked my email, and then junk mail, I checked, and it was Pritchard telling me if I wanted to go to Gastra Taboo. And I was like, wow, shit, this is a second opportunity, you know? So right there, he asked, well, what do you need, you know? I said what I needed. He said, okay. And then I won in Zilt, and I started to podiums after the podiums, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't become world champion, but it was my second opportunity, and I took it seriously, you know? It was like attention, you know? Maybe this is for real, and they want you to perform well, and Matt gave me the second opportunity, you know? And I'm really, I always thank everyone that supported me, you know? Maciek, I never, how do you say, I'm thankful, you know, for all this help. I performed in the water, but without help it's impossible, Maciek. And nowadays I see that I don't want to criticize the brands because I understand we're going through hard times, but if you don't support a young guy with money, at least to travel and to train, there is no way this guy is going to become one of the best. Because if you look, Rosinho is one of the best because he always had the support. Thomas, Ricardo, all the top guys. But if you pretend that the young guy beats Rosinho without training, this is never going to happen. If you want a 3-minute clip in Instagram, you will have it. But to be on the top, you need to train.
Yeah, and
you know, you make slalom. Come on, you know, you know exactly what it takes, you know, to win podiums.
And support is one thing, but then leadership also, like you say, you know, like Martin, he probably told you exactly what to do and how to train and what to do, what not to do.
Alex, March you have to be on Maui. In June, you have to go to Pozo to train for Pozo. Blah, 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 blah. He gave you all these steps, you know. Nowadays, it's like the rider has to do everything. I understand we are old guys, mature, like adults. We have to organize our lives, but it's easier for a guy that is 20. He has no idea what you have to do, you know. Where I have to go, what is my next step, you know. I have to go to Maui, I have to go to Pozo. Where the hell do I have to go, you know? And I think that brands have to start understanding that the rider has to only think about how good his rail is going to go and hit the lip, you know? You know what I mean? Like, take all this pressure out about, now I need to make a video, now I need to go here, now I have to go there. But the brand is not saying anything. The brand just wants you to post without any direction. And Martin, he had the direction. And for me, it was like, I just have to take my board bag and go to places, you know, and just think about performing.
Yeah. Ideal situation for sure. So like so you went on tour like 2002, no? What? It's still a time where you still have like all, let's say, the big names or the more established guys that we know from the magazine era, from the VHS, you know, the Pritchards, Bjorn, and all the guys, you know, Polakau and whatever. So what's your memories like? You come off pretty modest in this interview, but actually you have this kind of drive, no, that to beat the fucker too, you know. So what was like a 17-year-old?
I had to compete against Bjorn, Polakau. On Maui in the Aloha Classic, I competed with Rush Randall. You know, it's like not Dave Kalama, no, but like, you know, these guys in the Aloha Classic, just by looking at the draw, you were like, my God, these guys are like from the magazines. I was I think I competed with Alex Aguirre also in the Aloha Classic. Imagine, you know, it's like, and I was, you know what? When I was like 18, 19, when I started, I thought I was the best in the world, you know? Like, there was no one better than me. I did the best tweak airs. I did the best back loose, blah, 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 all this shit, you know, that when you're young, you think you're the best. And then suddenly you start to lose heats, And you're like, oh shit. And then you start to blame the judges that you're not going through heats, And then suddenly you start to go into this spiral of, my God, I'm not going through heats, and the sponsors want me to be world champion, And what changed me the most, Maciek, was I started to see myself on videos. A friend of mine, like he's not in the windsurfing world anymore, he said to me, you know what, I want you to see yourself. Because you see the videos, you see the tweaked areas, and you see the best. But you don't see the bad shit, And then suddenly one day I was like, fuck, I'm not that good. It's like what I used to do when I was 18 was like a big fat section and bam, and hitting it, and that's it. And I was expecting an 8. And then I was like, okay, what about if I hit the lip, boom, I land, then I turn, then a phone climb, and then another turn, and that's it. Suddenly I was getting 8 doing that, I was doing what the judges wanted me to do. Not only that, but I was sailing much better, And that for me was a game changer. You thought you were the best, and suddenly you get a slap in your face, and you're like, oh, maybe I'm not that good, And you have to be realistic with yourself, and like I am now, I don't think I can compete against Brauzinho, Thomas, Ricardo, and all these boys. Maybe you have a good heat and maybe you have a shitty heat, but come on, let's be realistic, If you don't have the level, you don't have the level. That's it. Yeah. I think I see a lot of people putting a lot of pressure on themselves, and it's like, you know what, maybe you're not that good, No, but it's true. Yeah. I'm not saying names. I'm just saying some people, that they're like crying, not crying, but like, oh no, the judges didn't want me to pass. And it's like, did you actually see the heat? It's like, and it happened to me, Maciek. It happened to me. That's what I'm saying, It's like, I was criticizing the judges, and then I saw myself on the video, and I was like, wow, actually, I say like shit, Did I really? I wanted to pass that heat, So yeah. I'm hard with people, but I've been very, very hard with myself, And the best judge here is yourself. Maciek, you're a racer.
Yeah, it's a little bit different because if you don't pass a heat, it's like you can't really blame anybody, in racing. Yeah. That's, I think, a bit different. And it's
but that if you're not driving the best, you're not top speed on the runs. You cannot expect winning against Albo, Mateo, and all these guys. You have to train and you have to be really hard on yourself, That's it. You have to be super hard with yourself, I think, if you want to perform.
Yeah. But it did came quite easy, to you, like first year, top 15, second year, top 10, and then, I don't know how many years in a row you were top 5, but like...
That's why I think it came too easy. And then when results were not there, I snapped, and then, like I said, I started to see myself on the videos. And a lot of people ask me about world champion, And
okay, let's go through a few results. You won silk. Okay. You have podiums in Pozo, in Tenerife, London indoor, Gincho, Maui, ranked twice, overall second, no?
Yeah.
I think twice or 3 times? Twice, no?
Twice second and 1 time third. And that was super sweet one to be in the overall podium.
Yeah.
For the first time.
So it's like, obviously it's as good of a resume as you can have, but it misses this one thing. So you said a lot of people ask you about that one thing. So tell me.
Thinking through my life, I think I was not willing to sacrifice a lot of things to become world champion. It was not a matter of level, I think. it was a matter of, like I say, sacrificing. For example, I became a dad when I was 24. So at the middle of my career, kind of, And what happens when you're a professional? Right before that, I was traveling a lot, going to Madagascar, to South Africa, to Maui all the time, to all these places. And I decided that being with my wife and my kid was giving me more to my person than traveling and trying to become world champion. Being world champion for me was not my number one priority, if I tell you the truth. I want to be remembered as one of the most radical riders, and with my personality, how I was. And if I tell you the truth, I did it my way. I don't know. I was one of the best the way I wanted it to be. It's like I stayed with my family. I was not traveling too much. I was just training enough to be in the top 3. And I thought, okay, maybe one day I have that extra luck to become world champion. But at the end, luck is not the main factor. Like I say again, you have to train a lot. You have to travel. And I didn't want to, like I say, sacrifice my life for being world champion. And I see a lot of guys that have done it, like Victor, Philip, Brausinho, that is training like crazy. For me, it was not my priority to be world champion. And I didn't, like I say, make that extra little click to become world champion. Yeah. And now I think back, and I don't regret.
Do you sometimes think like guys with your talent or maybe even less talent got one? And like, do you compare? Like this guy, I don't know.
I was really close with Brausinho once. It was like you have to, whoever lost, the other one was going to be world champion. And that is my only, this moment was really hard because we went to Maui and suddenly this moment came and we were 4 in the water. We were Josh Angulo, Brausinho, who was the other guy? Another one and me. So from these 4 guys, the best 2 advanced. And if it was Brausinho and me in the last heat, it was man on man to see who was world champion, And I lost this heat by 0.01 points. So I was 3rd in the heat and I didn't go through that heat. And you never know what can happen, Brausinho, in the books, in the papers, is much better than me in Maui, But the heat is a heat. And I was 3rd overall once because I beat Ricky. Ricky, for me, at that moment in the time, he was better than me. But we had to compete, And we competed. I beat him and I was 3rd overall. So, yeah, this was the only moment that I thought, shit, it was so close.
Yeah.
But then again, being already 2 times vice world champion, 3rd overall, and making all these podiums and epic, I had some really epic hits, and against the best in the world, and I made massive comebacks, also, and once I think I did like 9 or 10 hits, to finish 2nd behind Philip. All these 360s in competition, and I think I did the best I could, if I tell you the truth. I tried my best to be world champion, but this little extra thing was not there, and I don't think there's world champions that don't deserve it.
Yeah, and maybe you wouldn't be happy doing what Victor does sometimes. Like I saw him in Denmark like 1 month before the contest, van full of boards, full of fins.
No.
And like he has that capacity to go through all of that.
Yeah,
and if no wind for 2 weeks, he's like calm, go out to dinner.
If you see me, you saw my style. My style was going with 1 or 2 board backs, with 2 boards, 3-4 sails, and that's it, And like for me, windsurfing was always a game, and competition was part of the game, but I was not taking it so seriously like Victor, and I was not happy by doing so. My happy place was staying at home with my family, training in Tenerife, or even when I moved to Madrid, and trying my best. Sacrificing all this time with my family is not worth it. And like I say, I look back and all the time that I was with my kids playing in the playground and this and that, for me was more important than being world champion, because it's not like I'm a family man, but I think that happiness, I don't know how to say it in English. Happiness is something else, And I've been, like I say, vice world champion. I didn't change my life. The only thing that changed was having 1 more year of contract or 2 more years of contract, But happiness inside was not like, wow, incredible, For me, my biggest achievement was becoming pilot. It was 14 subjects, sitting 6 to 8 hours per day in front of the computer. When I finished my last exam, Mache, because they give you the result when you go to the exams, you do it by computer. When they give you the results, they give it to you instantly, like in the events. And when I saw that I passed, for me, the thrill was 20 times bigger than passing against Ricardo, Brauzinho, being vice world champion. This was not even close, because that studying really took all the energy that I needed, to go through. And windsurfing, like I say, it was just a game, I was just going to my heat. Okay, I tried my best, but it didn't take so much effort from my side to win hits. I don't know. I don't know if the words are.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Windsurfing was just a game.
Yeah. Yeah, because it came way harder. I guess it came way harder to. Yeah.
Exactly, and like I say. Being with my kids, with my friends, doing my coffees in the morning in Tenerife, for me, that was better than going to Denmark for 1 month, testing boards. I mean, if the brands wanted me to do it, I would have done it, because I've always been very professional with this, My last year with RRD, I was on, I had exams. I had 5 exams in December, and I was on Maui middle of November. I was like, fuck, I have to go, I have to compete. And then as soon as I get back, I need to go make these 5 exams. And they were super hard, But I had the contract.
Yeah.
And I went to Maui, I competed, I tried my best. And then I went back, I did my exams, and I passed. But like I say, I've always been very professional. When the brands asked me to do something, I did it without even blinking, So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Being professional, I think, I don't know what you have to say, but.
No, I wanted to throw it back a little bit, because you mentioned Ricardo a few times. And it reached a point where even you said in like one interview or something that like you guys had he was your worst competitor. Like you couldn't, like you guys had a bit of a rivalry going and whatever. And that sometimes you felt like, you wanted to rub it in his face, because if you won, because he would rub it into yours and whatever. So what was that about?
No, because Ricardo, I think Ricardo is one of the most competitive guys out there. If I tell you the truth, I think he's one of the most the one that wants to be world champion the most from the whole fleet. I was feeling bad for him when he lost his last chance. I don't know if it was 2018 or 19. He was really close for me.
In Silt, in Silt, I think. Yeah.
Man, I was, after all those years that I've been competing against him and saying, okay, I want to beat Ricardo no matter what, I felt bad for him. I really felt bad for him because I know that he wants it more than anyone and he deserves it because, okay, he must not, maybe he's not the best like Rosino, maybe he's not the most radical like Thomas, but man, that guy, he has to be world champion one day. And I say it from the bottom of my heart. It's not like I'm just saying it because you are going to show this to the public. But for me, Ricardo has to be world champion no matter what.
Yeah, so that's one. So that's you at 37 speaking, but the Musso at 30 years old or 25 or whatever. What would you say?
I would say no, but at the end, you become human, with age. You start to be more humble, and I think when I was in the water, I wanted to win for sure, no matter what, But outside the water, I always wanted the best for everyone, And we are a very small community, We need to help each other, And I feel bad for the sport, if I tell you the truth. And but I don't feel. This is hard to say, but I don't think windsurfing as a sport is dying. I think professional windsurfing is dying.
Why?
Because I don't think, brands are suffering. I understand brands are suffering, but I don't know, athletes are not getting the support that they need to be getting, to keep going. And windsurfing is growing and growing. I think windsurfing is growing since COVID, if I tell you the truth. A lot of people are coming back to the windsurfing. I mean, foiling now with the wind foil is kicking hard, but a lot of people like windsurfing, and for what I heard from some brands, that they're selling a lot of equipment now, like beginner equipment and stuff.
Yeah, and maybe it's unfair to put it out there, but I just had this conversation with some guys that had a dealer meeting here, brands and whatever, and they're like, yeah, sometimes we get sent the wrong stuff, or our stuff is delayed for 6 months and then we cannot sell it, and then this and that, and all those things happen, and then you hear like, we have to cut your salary. So it's like, is it my fault that you guys are not selling?
I mean, this is what I mean, that I think who's really suffering at this point are the athletes, and I'm really happy that we had Cabo Verde. I'm really happy that we had Cabo Verde. It was necessary for wave sailing. A lot of people wrote to me and said, finally a real wave sailing event, blah, blah, blah. But you know how much money the athletes spend to go to Cabo Verde? It's ridiculous. It's more or less the average was 4,000 euros to go and ride Cabo Verde, which you can do this any moment of your life. You can go with your friends and you can catch 4 times more waves than in an event. So we went to Cabo Verde, and it's hard to say, but this is the truth. And it's that, for example, there was a hotel sponsoring the event, and the riders were staying in Santa Maria in little apartments, And it's like, who's putting down the show? The athletes are, Why don't they stay in this incredible hotel, which they have to be well fed, they have to sleep good in good beds? It's like, for what I see in the pyramid, the riders are always in the bottom, and this is not fair because the athlete is the main, is what makes the show, and I mean, they spend so much money and free hotel or at least a good discount. You are in a good hotel, you sleep good, you eat good, and you only have to spend money on your traveling and on rental car. And the athlete is suffering and putting more and more and more, and it's like, man.
Yeah, the other side of the coin is that probably if we put the athlete, like you say, always first, it's even harder to get events, So what's the solution to that?
For a big hotel, I don't think it's that hard to give 13 rooms because we as riders, we stayed in Zilt. I remember back in the days when half of us didn't have free accommodations, and the Zilt in the apartments in Zilt, they're super tiny, like this room, and we were staying like 8 guys, sleeping on the floor because we had no budget, And when I was outside the top 10, I was sleeping on the ground, and when I was top 10, I was sleeping on a bed. But we help each other, but at one point there is no way to.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's like I suffered a lot. I suffered a lot during my career, Maciek. I think I suffered more than I enjoyed it. It was a really hard career, if I tell you the truth. And you are a professional windsurfer, you know how it is. You're suffering. I think it's like 90% suffer, 10% satisfaction, if I tell you the truth. And when you lose a heat, you can think about that heat for 3 months. When you make a super good result, what is like 2 beers and you forgot how good the result was. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm a bit like this as well, for sure. The difference in racing is that you're probably going to have a next heat sooner or later, so.
Exactly. I mean, the ways is not the same, but what I say is that I think, yes, we had Cape Verde and all this, but it was a bit of, we say in Spain, it's like bread for today, hunger for tomorrow. It's like, I don't know what's going to happen after Cape Verde. I mean, it was a good event. The waves were not the best of the best, if I tell you the truth. It was not like 2007, of course. So I don't know how much this is going to help the riders.
Yeah.
I don't know how much it's going to help the riders.
There's a lot of, stuff to move on, to improve still, for sure.
No, I like I say, I'm really happy for this, but what is not normal is that the riders are spending so much money to keep going, This is not normal. I mean, at one point, I have the feeling that windsurfing is going to be just for the rich. Professional windsurfing will become only for not the rich, but it's not the problem with the brands. It's a problem with the whole industry. I don't know what the problem is. And for me, it was not an easy decision to quit, but it was easy because the numbers were not there. It's like, imagine they offer you, let's say, just a number, 5,000 euros per year. And your first event, you spend 4,000. How the hell am I going to go to Pozo, to Tenerife, to Zilt? And if they make Maui, then, I have to sell myself to give my liver or something, because I won't be able to make it,
Yeah.
So it was only about this, because if Cape Verde for me was 1,500, okay, I can do it. Then Pozo 500, okay, I can do it. But if the first event already is 4,000, you already killed me,
Yeah.
The prize money is not so high anymore. I don't know. I think it was.
Let's go to some more positive topics.
Yeah.
If you could, I wanted to ask you this because you analyze a lot and now you judge, and if you could steal one thing from like give me 3, 4, 5 guys out of the wave riders, what would it be? Like, I don't know, this turn from that guy or this trick from,
Okay. I think it's easy to say. The double forward from Philip, the push loop forward from Brausinho, the late hits or aerials from Thomas Traversa, Ricky. The problem with Ricardo is that I would take almost everything from him, especially from the jumping. When you see, you're like, my God, this guy is amazing, you know? I love to watch Ricardo sailing.
Would you want to take his crashes? I mean, sometimes.
I don't know. I think, I don't know. And I don't know. I would take a little bit of everyone from the top, and the consistency of Victor Fernandez.
Mm. What was with your doubles? Because at some point it was just not enough, no, to not do them. Let's say.
I think what also one of the things that didn't let me be world champion was the double forward. You know, my wave riding was there, but the double forward, because I had a really bad crash when I was a kid. When I was on the Maui Ocean Academy, I had a really bad crash. I was training doubles with Robbie Swift in Camp 1. He was doing doubles. We were 15, you know. Double forward. And then I jumped. I did the first rotation. And when I was like, you know, when you're coming into the second one, I saw that I was still like 4 meters high or something. I was like, I'm too high. You know, if I keep shooting in, I will over-rotate and I will kill myself. So by the time I decided, and then I was like, you know what, keep going. You know, all this, maybe it was 1 second, you know, but you think all this. I went into the double forward, and then somehow I went too vertical, and then the wind came from the other side. And then I dropped from 4 meters, and I went through the sail. Luckily, I had this Dr. X North sails that was like, it was like super thin. And I went through the sail, and I hit the leg with my mast. And I was like, oh shit, you can really get hurt windsurfing, you know? And that was in the back of my mind for forever. Then I went to Pozo, I was doing doubles and this and that, but it was not really there, you know? I was really, I don't know, I didn't really, I was not, how do you say? I was not confident. And if I tell you the truth, I was 18 years on tour. I never had one injury. Not one. And I was performing good, I think. I never had an injury. This was because if I didn't feel that it was right, I was not doing it, you know. I was doing one-handed, one-footed backflips that a lot of people think, it's so easy, you know. I don't know if you ever tried one, but
I don't think anybody thinks it's easy, man.
No, but you know, you see the guys doing it like just landing like easy, and you see double forwards, they look more spectacular. That's what I mean, you know. And I never got injured because if I was not feeling it was the right ramp or the right gust, or I was not doing it.
Yeah.
And I think double forwards was always like I could not do it, and that's it.
Yeah. No, from my experience, I can only say about one-handed back loops that when you over-rotate,
you know how it is.
you're hooked and you're gonna hit the boom for sure.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Probably my highest one was like maybe 4 meters in the air. You know how high I jump. maybe 3 meters in the air.
Yeah, exactly. And you know how it is that the windsurfing is quite dangerous. It's a dangerous sport. I saved one guy in Italy from dying, and I was really like, you can really get hurt from this, you know. This was a really hard experience for me, saving this guy's life. I was really like,
So what
holy
happened?
shit. So I went to make some boards with Aurelio. It was just before the COVID. And I was sailing, blah, blah, blah. I want to make it short. But anyways, I was like sailing, and suddenly I see this guy like underwater like this, like with his head underwater. And I started shouting, and the guy was not coming up, you know. And I was thinking maybe he's just resting there, or I don't know what the fuck, you know. And then after 5 seconds, I was like, holy shit, you know. I threw my gear. I started swimming to him, and I was like, fuck, at one moment he's just gonna go up and he's gonna scare me, you know. And no, I was getting close, and then I grabbed him, like, you know, so I could see his face. His whole nose disappeared, like was like completely outside of his face. It was like, and his eyes were like white, and I was like, fuck, I found a dead body. And then I started to shout at him because I was hoping that he's still alive. And suddenly he started to breathe again and started to puke water and blood. And I was like, fuck. And we were in the, I don't know how to say it, like maybe 150 meters from the beach, you know?
Pretty close, yeah.
Close? Yeah, the guy was like 85 kilos. And then I started to swim with him, hitting him in the face so he would he would wake up. And also I needed his help because every time I was swimming with the hand, his body was turning.
Yeah.
And as his body was turning, he was drowning again, you know. Anyways, and to make it short, we made it to the beach. And I spoke with him a month later. And the story was, I thought I saved his life, but it was super hardcore, man. He went through the wave and he got hit by the mast. Imagine how hard he hit with the mast. When he landed on the water, when you land on the water, your first reaction is to stand up and get your gear. He wanted to do that, but his body wouldn't let him do it. You know, it's like, I want to move my hand, I move my hand. He couldn't move. And then he's like, you know, trying to move, he was like paralyzed. And then he started to think about his family, his friends, and they told him in the hospital that he had a pre-death. His body was getting ready to die, you know? You imagine this? I was like, when he was telling me the story, I was like, fuck, you know? And when I turned his body and he saw the sun, he thought that like he came back to life. He came back to life. So basically, I really saved someone's life. I was really in shock. I was crying, you know, when he was telling me the story because I knew I saved someone's life, but not at that point, you know. And probably that's the best thing I've ever done in windsurfing. Now that I tell you the story, saving someone's life in the water, you know. And it was a really hard day. It was like 50 knots and, you know, Mediterranean style, like waves everywhere, you know. And sometimes people don't realize how dangerous windsurfing is, you know. I see people, the best of the best, they get to the beach and they watch the ocean for 5 to 10 minutes, you know. Let's say Brauzinho, Philip, I've seen it, you know. They're analyzing what the waves are doing, what the currents are doing, you know. So imagine as an amateur, you have to know your limits, you know. And I think some people don't realize that windsurfing is dangerous, you know. And I would recommend if amateur people windsurfing watch this podcast is that you need to know your limits, you know. And even for me that day, I stayed on the beach for 10 to 15 minutes watching what the ocean was doing, you know, because it was really dangerous. And yeah, just another story. I have a lot of stories, but not this one.
It's not just another story. It's a pretty,
Yeah,
Pretty
it was.
fucking-
It's just a resume of what happened, but yeah, it was
Yeah.
really. After when I got back to the beach after swimming for so long, I was almost puking, but not because I was tired, just by what happened.
Yeah.
All this blood. When he was puking blood and water, I was like, "Holy shit!" I don't know. And when I see the news and I see people going to war, I'm like,
Yeah.
why? It's like now with all these times that are happening, I still don't understand how
Yeah.
humanity is so stupid. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
I don't want to go talk about politics.
Yeah.
It's just like windsurfing was amazing for me. I think windsurfing is the most beautiful sport in the world. I've practiced so many sports, and this one was really.
Yeah. I read you said windsurfing is like a relationship. Tell me why. like a human relationship,
Yeah, because you love it and you hate it. I love my wife. I hate my wife. You know what I mean? We love our friends. We hate our friends, and windsurfing was. I don't know.
It was like this. Yeah. Yeah. It's a good way to wrap it up.
Yeah,
I think.
It was really cool, man.
Yeah.
I enjoyed a lot. I met really cool people, and I don't know.
Yeah. It's not the end though.
No, it's not the end, but I think the windsurfing community is amazing, I think even if you're a pro or an amateur, it's like, we all have this thing in common, of going in the ocean and enjoying nature. And like I say, now I have kids and I want them to enjoy whatever they do, It's about having fun, and windsurfing for me, again, it was a game, and it was a hard game, if I tell you the truth, but I enjoyed every single second from it, I enjoyed every single second of how many characters I met, and I was probably not world champion. I was not the most radical guy out there, but I did enjoy it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And that's for sure the most important, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I enjoyed this interview, Alex. Thanks so much.
Thanks
mate.
a lot.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for getting in touch with me. And the last message is for the windsurfing community to stay together, stay strong, and I don't know if the athletes are going to watch this podcast because maybe it's boring, but stay strong, and you guys are the best. You do amazing things, You see the slalom guys, how much they train is ridiculous, Trying the fin, trying the mast, trying the sail, It's like all this effort, And I don't know how to say it. We don't get enough support, You see other sports and that are okay, they're incredible, but like windsurfing, there's not so many sports. And how much time you guys put in slalom, how much time the freestylers put into these amazing tricks, I don't even understand. And all these wave riders going to all these places, spending so much money. Yeah. I'm not criticizing the industry because I know it's hard times. But I think they have to look at the human side of it. We sacrifice a lot of time out of our families, friends, and we love the sport. But come on,
Yeah. Last but not least, does an commercial airline pilot, always have an excess baggage allowance to bring your gear around?
I hope if I go into an airline, they're gonna let me take my equipment. That's for sure. I hope so. I don't know. I hope one day we speak again and from 35,000 feet. I invite you to the cockpit. No worries.
I'm definitely coming into the cockpit.
Maciek, thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Alex. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
appreciate your
cool.
time. Cheers, man.
There we go, Alex Mussolini, another great podcast. So cheers to Alex for that. If you like that podcast, give us a thumbs up, let us know in the comments below who you want to hear on the podcast. We've got some great ones lined up. Rumour is Levi Siver is next week. Looking forward to that one. So subscribe if you don't want to miss another episode. Every Wednesday, Matt Check will be doing the podcast. So join us next Wednesday for the next one.